Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to Water Songs Workshop, the place where I work on my character ideas, try art challenges, and try to make your day a little bit brighter. So today, I thought I'd show you a little piece of an ongoing project I've been working on for a few years. I am a DM for a homebrew D&D campaign where the NPCs are what I imagine Pokemon would look like if they were in a medieval fantasy-style RPG, and then the legendary mythical Pokemon were the deities. In this video, I'd like to introduce to you some classic evolutions as they will appear in my player's next campaign in this world called Aknej. Without further ado, let's get this video started. So the premise of this campaign is that 7 powerful dragons have taken over the kingdom of Windspoon and all of its corresponding cities, and the players, wishing to reclaim the kingdom for each of their own reasons, start their journey at the initiation of joining an underground rebellion. This rebellion is initially consisting of nothing but a family of elven siblings resembling each of the evolutions. The youngest is Solil Dryertham. Solil is a modest young lad with a can-do attitude and a solid connection to the magic that courses through the world. He has established himself as a strong Circle of the Moon druid that specializes in shapeshifting. As you might be able to figure out for this one, I drew inspiration from Eevee and his volatile DNA, as the Pokedex states. As far as stats go, I gave Solil a spread that matches his character and abilities. His best score is his wisdom. Being adaptable to your environment and being able to survive is the signature Eevee style, and being a druid, it certainly doesn't hurt your spellcasting. His next 2 stats, I decided that charisma and dexterity were tied. Solil is light on his feet, and his boyish charm makes him fairly likable, so I thought these made sense to be fairly high. Next is constitution and intelligence. They're not super high, they're more middle of the road. Solil isn't tanky, but he can take a hit or two. He's also not a fountain of knowledge, but he knows a thing or two about nature and the creatures that reside in the area. His stump stat is his strength. Let's face it, he's not rocking muscles, nor does he need them when the majority of his battle strategy is to cast a spell or shapeshift. Speaking of spells, Solil does have some fun spells, such as Primal Savagery, Speak with Animals, Charm Person, Conjure Animals, Guardian of Nature, Mass Cure Wounds, Find the Path, Regenerate, Animal Shapes, and Foresight, making him a great caster for multiple situations. Anyways, this is my interpretation of Eevee as a druid. Up next is the gender-fluid aquatic half-elf with a hero complex, Pyshor Dryertham. Despite their upbeat and positive attitude, Pyshor has one of the sadder backstories. During the dragon attacks, they ended up trapped under a building and watched in horror as their fellow sailor and best friend was eaten by Mija, the dragon of destruction. After being rescued, Pyshor cried out, begging the gods for the strength to never let anyone they loved be taken from them like that again. Their cry was heard by Tethys, the minor goddess of the North Wind. She would grant them power if they agreed to be her champion for the rest of their life. Pyshor agreed, and became a fathomless warlock with a touch of druidic powers. This is my interpretation of Vaporeon as a D&D character. For Pyshor stats, I made Charisma number 1. They are very bubbly and friendly, yet also a pretty good liar when they need to. Second is Dexterity. Like Vaporeon, Pyshor is amazing at hiding in their surroundings and being a bit slippery. Next, there's a tie for Constitution and Wisdom. Being a sailor, they are very used to surviving in the inclement weather and being battered by the waves. Second to last is Strength. Pyshor is not weak in any way. In fact, they're pretty good at generic athletics checks, but it's not the most important stat for a caster, so I didn't feel the need to put it any higher. Their dumb stat, however, is Intelligence. Spending so much time at sea, unfortunately, does not get you too much book smarts. Being a beneficiary of a deity does get you some cool abilities and spells, such as Shape Water, Frostbite, Create or Destroy Water, Misty Step, Invisibility, Black Tentacles, Water Breathing, Sleet Storm, Investiture of Ice, and Power Word Stun. They also have the ability to summon water tendrils that slam into their opponents. But yeah, here's the finished concept for Vaporeon as a warlock. Venus Dryertham is a lone wolf wanderer who left the nest at a very early age. Being a wood elf and an antisocial type, he found solitude in the woods, living on his own, hunting and gathering his own food. He briefly lived in a monastery to discover the balance between nature and civilization, and to learn the ways of the storm. When the dragon attacks began, Venus was reluctant, but decided in the end that his siblings needed help to take back their land. Bow in hand, he set off to rejoin his family. This is my interpretation of Jolteon as a ranger/monk combo. As you can imagine, Venus's highest stat is his dexterity. He is a master at being stealthy and is an amazing marksman. His next best stats are his strength and wisdom. Living mostly on his own has made him physically strong and mentally attuned to the world around him, while living in a monastery has helped him grow even further in these areas. Next is intelligence and constitution. He has a little bit of world knowledge from living in the monastery, but not much outside of that. Venus is also slightly tanky as he's trained his body and mind. His jump stat is his charisma. Being a non-people person, he's not the best when it comes to conversation and can come off a bit blunt. While mostly relying on his bow, Venus also has a few magical abilities and spells that center around his martial abilities. Some notable spells are Hunter's Mark, Zephyr Strike, Pass Without a Trace, Conjure Barrage, and his favorite, Lightning Arrow. And there you go. This is my interpretation of Jolteon as a ranger. Two words: fashion model. The last character in this video is none other than the glamorous Tiasha Driertham. Quite the busybody, this high elf loves to make sure everything is hot, be it her clothing designs, her runway walks, her makeup, or her spells. She was born with sorceress magic and a strange connection to dragons. Her skin is very tough despite moisturizing every night, and she's a pro when it comes to knowledge about them. When the dragon attacks began, she could feel them coming and managed to get many in the shopping district to safety. She decided her skills would be useful in the rebellion and hopes to find out why she's so connected to dragons in the process. This is my interpretation of Flareon as a sorcerer. Tiasha's stat spread is very strange for a sorcerer. Her highest stat is Constitution because of her tough skin. In relation to Flareon, the fluffy fur makes it look like it'd be bulky. Her next highest stat is Charisma. Let's be honest, if you're going to have a business, you gotta be able to sell stuff. Also, sorcery requires a bit of charisma. Third is Dexterity, not because of maneuverability, but because of sleight of hand. A good seamstress needs to be good with her hands. Tied next are Strength and Intelligence, not because she's good or bad at either, but because they're not as terrible as the last one. Her dump stat is Wisdom. This girl is a citygoer with people to watch out for her. She doesn't need to have survivability or medicine knowledge, just a tiny bit of being able to read people. Spell-wise, this sorcerer loves fire spells of all varieties. She has spells such as Create Bonfire, Burning Hands, Pyrotechnics, Fireball, Wall of Fire, Creation, mostly for outfit making purposes, Sunbeam, Firestorm, Sunburst, and Meteor Swarm. So if you need something to burn, Tiasha is your girl. And that's it. Here is Flareon, reimagined as a sorcerer. And that's everything for this video. I will make the other 5 evolutions in 1 or 2 different videos if you enjoyed this one. How would you have built the evolutions? Are there any Pokemon you would like to see me turn into D&D characters? Let me know. In the meantime, keep being fantastic and I'll see you around.